check out what I just found. I'm gonna set up the canvas on the side of camp here so we got a constant visual reminder of our goal to create a painting of this experience. These are delicious.
If I can't complete this painting in 72 hours, I have to destroy it.
I don't know why I put that rule on myself. Almost set myself on fire. It's all my fault. We are down to our last hour and I'm freaking out. I can't believe I just did that. Wait, we can still do our painting. I don't know what it's gonna be, but we can still do it. Yes! The only way to get to camp is a 1 mile hike into the woods and a wheelbarrow full of supplies. And we begin. First thing on the to-do list, let's set up camp. Now that camp's all set, let's go explore. Our adventure takes place in beautiful Whitewater State Park, and I thought we could just start with some sightseeing to get familiar with the area. And I think while we get familiar with the area, let's take some reference photos for our painting. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this yet, but this is episode 1 of our 1000 canvas series, where you get to decide how and what is painted on each canvas. But before you start thinking these are going to be your typical painting videos, you're gonna quickly realize they are not.
In fact, the paintings are only there as a glue to hold this series together. It's more about exploring creativity and new ideas and interesting ways that we get to do together. I'll talk more about that in a little bit.
I've noticed that this section of the forest is filled with this plant here. Some of you may be familiar with it, especially if you live in the northern half of the United States or in Canada. This is known as wood nettle, or Canadian nettle, and it's most known for the intense itching sensation you get when it touches your skin.
They have very distinct leaves, and the females have a crown of seeds on top, but it's the hairs along the stem that hold the toxin.
We're gonna take some of this wood nettle and rub it along my arm so we can see the reaction and how long it lasts. Here we go. Disclaimer, do not try this at home. I've been around this stuff my entire life and I'm very familiar with the way my body reacts to it, but your body may react differently. And just in case mine does, I do have first aid nearby. All right, let's do this. Oh, and let's start the timer.
Right away, you're going to start to notice that it's going to turn my skin red, and that's because it's bringing the blood closer to the surface, which is actually making the area warmer. Some Native American groups were known to use this to their advantage and stuff their winter clothing with it to keep them warm during the cold season. And if you boil this, it loses its toxin and actually becomes a very nutritious source of food.
I think that's about finished. So it looks like it took about 32 minutes. We got some squirrels going ham up here. That took about 32 minutes for the effects to wear off. That was rough for a moment. It was quite itchy, and to keep my arms still took a lot.
Right over here is what they call Inspiration Point. And I've got to say, I'm definitely inspired.
Why don't we head back down to the river over there?
This hike is rough. I am exhausted. I say we head back and go make some food. Oh, no.
On our way back, we need to find a rock with a very specific shape to it. But we'll talk more about that in just a minute.
Oh God, this water's cold. Oh, check out what I just found. Oh, where is it? By the rock, okay. There it is. Okay, right there.
From what I can tell, I think this may be an gastropod fossil, and it's roughly 435 million years old from when this area was being formed under a shallow sea.
As awesome as this thing is, it's not what we're looking for. But this one is. I'm ready to start a fire so we can make some food, but I didn't bring a lighter or matches. Here's what I do have, though. I've got my walking stick and the rock we just found.
Let's start by taking apart the handle
From our walking stick here. We're gonna take our paracord and tie it nice and tight. We're gonna tie it on the end here. You can see we got a notch cut out for the string to sit in, so it's nice and tight and it doesn't slip around. Something like this should do. The reason we needed a specific rock is because it had to have a little divot or a hole in it. Now, using the rock we found and a couple pieces of hardwood, we're gonna see if we can start a fire.
So what we've created here is a bow drill, and we're trying to start a friction fire. And I'm gonna try so hard to act like this was easy, but it was not. It took me over an hour to get anything to happen.
Well, that made a lot more ugly noises than I was expecting, and I almost set myself on fire. I don't know if you saw that, but we did get it going. Now we gotta make some food before it gets too dark. I'm using flank steak, and I'm making sure that I'm cutting against the grain of the meat. If you don't do this, it's going to be extremely chewy. This would be much easier if I wasn't trying to film a short form video as well. I am getting so hungry, and we are losing daylight fast.
I'm not gonna lie, I am not a great chef, but cooking is definitely something I would love to learn. So over the next few days, I'm gonna challenge myself to make some good meals. So tonight, we're making campfire steak fajitas.
These are delicious. Today was a lot of work, probably twice as much as I was expecting. I had a lot of fun though. It was super fun exploring, and I'm exhausted. Tomorrow we've got a whole bunch of things planned, and yeah, I think we call it day one. Gotta have this first. Good morning. Last night got pretty cold. It was roughly 40 degrees, which is right around 4.5 degrees Celsius. Don't worry, I brought enough blankets to keep me warm. It's about, what, 9:30 right now, which gives us roughly 52 hours to finish this painting. I'm gonna set up the canvas on the side of camp here, so we got a constant visual reminder of our goal to create a painting of this experience. I'm gonna finish my breakfast and we can get at it. I hope you're enjoying this video so far, and if you are, hit the like button, consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. And I just wanted to remind you how important you are to this series. You're the one that gets to decide how and what is painted on each one of these 1,000 canvases. All you have to do is leave a comment below of your most outrageous and fun ideas. It could literally be anything. The idea that's picked will be what we do in the next video. If you want to learn more about the series, I made a whole video dedicated to this.
We have 1,000 canvases.
You get to decide how and what I paint on each canvas. I look forward to hearing your most outrageous and fun ideas in the comments section.
Welcome to the series where we're trying to paint outside the lines.
Okay, so all fun and games aside, I want to talk about why I want to do this challenge. And if it's your idea that's picked, there's going to be some pretty good perks for you. Oh, and by the way, this is Maverick. Say hi, Maverick. You'll get to know him pretty well throughout this series. All right, let's go fly. So I was thinking we could go on a hike and take some beautiful drone photos of the cliffs and, yeah, give me a second, I'll land.
No drones.
Okay.
That's the rule. You cannot fly drones in any state park. So that's the, like, any state national park, not allowed.
Well, turns out I'm not allowed to fly my drone here. I should have known that. It's all my fault. I should have did my research on the local drone laws. But this is really going to make me change my plan. I was expecting to get photos of the landscape that I wasn't able to get yesterday with Maverick here. Yeah. I need to go find some firewood. I used the last of it for breakfast, so I think we'll head up the ridge here and see what's going on up there. Yeah. We'll fly you next time, Mav. We're going up that way. I just got a new knife. We're gonna test that out, see how it works. Okay. Ooh, this is steep. Okay. That's sturdy. I bet we're gonna get quite a view at the top here. Oh no! The view at the top here. Oh no! I can't believe I just did that. I'm really struggling right now. I'm hungry. I don't have any firewood. And now I've got a broken canvas and still no idea what to paint. But that doesn't even matter at this point. Wait. I might have a way to fix this. Yeah. I keep a drop cloth in my painting supplies. And I have maybe a stapler in the car from when I did the intro to this series. I was right. It's in here. And it's still got staples. We're gonna build a new canvas. It's been a few years since I've put together a canvas, and I've never done one with just a drop cloth and a staple gun. We're gonna do our best to get this done. And we're losing daylight, so I need to hurry. Hopefully those wrinkles aren't a big deal. I would teach you what I'm doing, but I'm not even sure I'm doing it correctly, so we'll find out. We're gonna throw some gesso on this, see what happens. If you're unfamiliar with gesso, all it is a primer that holds the paint to the canvas. There it is. All right, it's not perfect, but in some ways that makes it better. It helps tell the story. We can still do our painting. I don't know what it's gonna be, but we can still do it. Yes.
Well, my excitement didn't get to last long because I realized we still never got a chance to go get firewood, which means no fire tonight. And if we don't have a fire, I can't make a good meal. I do have granola bars, so I'll survive. But at least we have a good canvas, which means we can still complete this challenge.
It's only about 8 o'clock, but it's already extremely dark without a fire. So I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna drop some footage into my laptop and charge some batteries. I'll go over the photos we took yesterday and see if I can get inspired to paint something. I was really hoping to fly the drone today, but that didn't work out. Honestly, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. All of today didn't work out. It was a very tough one. Before I go to bed, I wanna show you some of the best photos we took on our hike. All right, now I gotta get some sleep. We got a big day ahead of us tomorrow. Good morning. Well, I guess it's not quite morning anymore. It's about noon, but I've been very busy today. I gathered a bunch of firewood to get this fire going so I can have some hot coffee and make myself some lunch. But I do have some good news. I know what we're gonna paint. Last night, I had one of the most incredible dreams of my life. I gotta tell you about it. I dreamt we were at the campfire here, and I stepped down by the water. I noticed there was something glowing in the stream. I thought maybe it was glass or rock, I'm not really sure. But I went out and grabbed it. When I picked it up out of the water, it began to float. So I snagged it, and then I began to float. I was taken back by this. I had no clue what was happening. It was like a breeze picked me up off the ground and I began to fly through the forest. At first I was only drifting maybe 5 feet off the ground. I was moving super slow. And then it was like I gathered some confidence and I just went up above the trees and I started going so fast. I distinctly remember brushing my hands across the tops of the trees and then I swooped down and slid my hand in the water by the river. I was having the time of my life. And then I came to this cliff and it was like it stole all my confidence. I began to fall, and I just remember being so terrified as I watched the ground just approach closer and closer, and I got right above the ground, and I just stopped. And I just hovered there. The forest became silent, and I felt at peace. I felt my confidence back, and it was a lot. We're gonna paint something about that. So I think the first thing we need to do is take our sketchbook and come up with some ideas. But before we do that, I've got a hot pan over here. I'm gonna make myself some lunch. I'm not gonna lie, this sandwich is ugly, but boy, is it delicious. I think we'll just start by sketching out some ideas into our sketchbook. And the best of them we'll transfer to our canvas. Now that we got a game plan, let's go make some art. Oh, could you do me a favor? Let me know what you thought about that video montage I created to help you visualize what my dream looked and felt like. I wasted a lot of time on that this morning while I was searching for firewood, and yeah, I hope it turned out.
Now I'm just doing some very loose drawings to help me figure out how we should pose our character. I don't want him to look like he's falling or flying, but instead floating. I think I'll do something kind of like this.
It's almost sunset and I still haven't started painting. I've got a total of about 20 hours to get this finished. Otherwise, I gotta destroy it. I don't know why I put that rule on myself. I switched into my painting clothes. I'm ready to get started. I've got some lights around us. I'm gonna go until I just can't anymore. I've got coffee on the fire and I'm also attempting to bake bread. I made some dough this morning and yeah, We're gonna see what happens. I have to make up for that ugly sandwich I made earlier. I started by pencil sketching our character and a couple different shapes I'm gonna use for land masses. And now we're gonna use some of this crimson blue hue, and we're just gonna trace them. And we're gonna take some of the paint we mixed and cover the whole thing. This is called toning the canvas. It's just to get rid of all the white and help us get a base layer of color. Maybe I should have used orange. Either way, this is just an underpainting. All of it will be covered by the time we're finished. Oh shoot, the bread. I burnt the bread. Oh no. That's not bad. Campfire PB&J. Oh, that's good. I might have burnt the bread, but that was still delicious. Good morning. We made it to our final day. I noticed some fog rolled in, so I thought I would go out and gather enough firewood to make one last cup of coffee, because we're gonna need our energy. We got a lot to do. Last night, my battery died, so all my lights went out, and trying to paint with using glow stick light doesn't work well. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. Noticed last night the paint got very sticky as it cooled down. We'll head back to camp and we'll gather our supplies and do what we can to get started.
Well, I took the tent down, I filled the wagon, I picked up all my trash, and now I'm ready to go home. I'm exhausted.
I've got roughly a little over 6 hours left. Once that timer goes off, I'm calling it. We're done. Whether the painting's finished or not, that's it. So I'm gonna put my head down and paint like a madman and try to finish this so it doesn't have to be destroyed. Now entering the flow state. I'm starting to really like what we got going on here. We got a waterfall and some cliffs, but before we get too far with that, we need to move on to a new section. And I'm thinking over here, I'm gonna add some pine trees, kind of like what we saw on our hike. I'm gonna start by marking my placement. I think I want one to go here. I'm gonna put one more down here. Now, in no way do these have to be perfect right off the bat. I'll be cleaning these up multiple times and doing many layers. I think I'm actually gonna bring this river deeper into these trees here. We're gonna be putting many little holes between these branches. You know what? I think I'm gonna add some trees over here as well. Right here and right here. Beyond just some greens, I'm gonna add a couple purples in here. Before this starts feeling like some sort of painting tutorial, why don't we go check out the squirrel camp? I forgot I haven't mentioned anything about the squirrels yet. Well,
On day one, I noticed there was a section of the forest that had a lot of squirrel activity, which is exactly what I was hoping to find. So I set out some food to pinpoint the most populated area, and now that we know, the squirrels can start doing their art.
now that you understand what's going on, I'll put the squirrels on that side of the screen, and I'll have my painting on this side.
A few weeks before I came on this trip, I made this contraption.
Let me show you my plan for this thing. They definitely like their walnuts.
Now that we've added the food, we need to attach these wood panels I handcrafted. And all these boxes is where we're going to put our colors in. Don't worry, these pigments are non-toxic, and in fact, they're completely safe to eat. I made them out of everyday fruit and vegetables.
And one blueberry for me. Okay, one more. Ah, Jesus. Ah.
When I built this contraption, I had no idea if it was going to work or not, but they actually turned out great. Look at that little footprint. Oh, and remember earlier how I mentioned there would be perks for the people whose ideas are picked for the next painting? If it's your idea that's picked for the next episode, I'll send you one of these for free. So comment your idea. You have nothing to lose and possibly a painting by a squirrel to gain.
We are down to our last hour, and I'm freaking out. I haven't even started our character yet.
I started off by refining an outline for our character, and now I'm just going in and trying to find the shadows and highlights. I'm also going to go over with glazes. The beautiful thing about acrylic is the more layers you add, the more depth the painting will have. I use this same technique to finish the entire character, going section by section and finally finishing off with the smallest details.
Paintbrush down. That's it. We're done.
Before I show you the finished painting, I want to talk about our sketchbook. I made a sticker of our character out of tape, and then I covered it in gesso to seal it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but this is what we've been mixing all our paints on. After the paints dried, I peeled off the sticker and we ended up with this. This will be our sketchbook for this series.
I am so excited to be finished. I am so exhausted. I'm ready to go see my family.
But here's how our painting turned out. It's not perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. If the sun hits it right, you can see all the texture from having to rebuild our canvas. This turned out to actually be a huge challenge to make it look smooth when you look straight on, but I think it worked.
Please subscribe, but most importantly, stay creative.
Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. You get to be one of the lucky people that get to vote whether you think this painting was finished or not. You can vote in our community tab. If you say yes, I'll make prints available. If you say no, we'll destroy it and smash it in the next episode. Oh, and I can't wait to read your comment on how we should paint the next one.